A lot has happened since the gate dropped at the opening Revo British Championship at what was the brand new Oakhanger track in Hampshire. We've had an MX National round at the same track a week later, the Good Friday Huck Cup at Marshfield, some GPs, AMA Supercrosses and the opening round of the British Masters. Now all these have involved Revo riders in some way or another, so there's a lot to reflect on before we head to the historic circuit of Lyng in Norfolk this weekend. But let's first rewind to the opening Revo round at Oakhanger on Army land near Borden in Hampshire. Now, although everyone was on a high at the prospect of an awesome new sand track, like a mini Dutch track like Lyng, the British weather put paid to that. It was supposed to be a spectacular opener on a circuit that had been finely crafted by Alfie Smith and Justin Barclay, two of the best in the business. It was all set for an incredible event, and the MX Nationals and RHL team had worked really hard to get it set up. But non-stop rain in the run-up to the event, then car parking nightmare for spectators who eventually got turned away, put a dampener on it for sure. Now, despite the despair, the racing was good, as the fastest riders in the UK showed how to master such a really tricky track. And none better than Harry Koulas, who basically ran away with both motos to take what was his first ever double win in the British Championship. Now, Koulas normally starts reasonably well, then improves quickly as the season goes on. And then at the races, so often, he wins the first race, but then loses the second. So to see him totally blazing fast and dominant at Oakhanger was actually a bit of a shock, especially as he'd struggled at the Hawkstone International just before it. Now, the all-new 2023 Yamaha YZ450F that he rides and parts for it have been in short supply, so he had bike and setup issues at Hawkstone, but he had nothing like that at Oakhanger. And he told me that he knew he needed to start the season stronger than ever and make sure he was just as fast in the second motos, and that he put in so much work during the off-season. Of course, all riders say that. However, for the past 2 years, he squared up against Tommy Searle for the title, and both times the Brit has clinched it at the final round. But this year, it already looks like it'll be different. Searle was rapid in the first few laps at Oakhanger, but he was never a real challenge to Koulas. He eventually dropped to 4th place in the first moto, but then in race 2 he went down really hard on the opening lap and crawled off the track, badly winded. He went to hospital for checks, and luckily there was no serious damage found, but he's not raced since then, preferring to get as fit as he can before the Lyng round on Sunday. Now, he came along to the World Junior Team Ride Day at Fat Cats last week and admitted he'll only ride probably once before Lyng because he wants to get there as fit as possible. He says he needs to be fit, and therefore sacrificing bike time before the race is a wise move. Now, it was lucky for him the round 2 at Canada Heights was rained off, giving him more time to recover. Now, also injured at Oakhanger was Assa gas rider Ivo Monticelli, who chased Koulas hard in the opening moto before he slipped off. He still finished 3rd, but then in the second race went down in a second corner crash and dislocated his shoulder. Now, the friendly Italian has had surgery and isn't on the entry list for Lyng, however. Let's hope he's back soon. However, there will be renewed international interest as the former British champ Evgeny Bobryshev is finally back. Now, as he holds a Russian passport, he was banned from all major races since the invasion of Ukraine. Now, although he lives in Holland and his wife is actually part Ukrainian, he was still banned from racing under international sanctions that hit all sports. Now, he was applying for a Dutch passport as he's a resident there. His family live there, he's got business interests there, his kids are there, he's lived there for more than a decade. So now his issues have obviously been sorted. Well, we'll find out more this weekend, but it's good to see him back. We were there when he first tested the 2023 Husqvarna at Oxford Motor Park, and he said then he hoped to be allowed to race this year. But after being out of top-class racing for a while, he won't be fully on it at Lyng, and he wasn't able to match the speed of the top men at the Bridgestone round last week. Now, it takes a while to come back from a layoff, just ask Jeffrey Hurlings. Now, on the subject of that Bridgestone Masters round, it was the Crendon Honda duo of Conrad Muse and Josh Gilbert that shared a win and a second apiece. Now, if you're a gambler, right now you'd probably lay odds on it being one of these two challenging Koulas for the title this year. Muse is perhaps the most obvious candidate, as he came through the pack at the opening Revo round to finish second twice to Koulas. He had bad starts, so the team then worked on the bike in the week following that Revo round to make it better for him. Then he turned up at the MX Nationals at Oakhanger a week later, got 2 good starts and simply left the opposition wondering which way he'd gone. They pulled away to massive leads that Koulas just couldn't really get near to. And yes, it was Koulas second both times. Muse then won the Huck Cup in very different conditions at Marshfield on Good Friday, then jetted out straight away to the Swiss GP the next day to keep his momentum going. Now, he showed decent speed, but he struggled in the races against very, very tough competition. But he loves the sand, so Lyng should play to his strengths. Now, so far his teammate Gilbert has not quite had the match of his younger rival. Gilbert, who's from Cornwall, was third in the Revo and MX Nationals at Oakhanger, a track he obviously didn't like, and he tailed Muse in the Huck Cup. Now, he didn't go to the Swiss GP, but at last week's Masters round at the sandy Preston Docks track, the pair had a win and a second each, with Gilbert actually getting the overall as he won race 2. Now, Gilbert got 2 great starts, which is one of his strengths. Muse passed him early in the Moto 1 to win, but in race 2 he came from the back to finish second, although 42 seconds back, and with the fastest lap time more than 2 seconds slower than Gilbert. So both men are in top form. There's certainly no team orders, so watch out for fireworks at Lyng. Of course, former British champ Sean Simpson is also a master of the sand, so he'll be out to claw some points back at Lyng. He's currently 4th in the series, just 3 points off Gilbert. And with this being the main series he's focusing on, he can always pull off something special, especially when it's rough. And we know at Lyng it's going to be rough. Now, 2 of the new boys in the class are former MX2 battlers Tom Grimshaw and Jamie Carpenter, who both showed pretty good speed at the opener. Carpenter got caught out by the conditions, like many people did, while Grimshaw fared better, finishing 5th overall. Now, last week he tried his first ever MXGP round at Arco in Italy, but hit the deck hard. Nothing's broken, so he'll be riding at Lyng, but probably not at full fitness, which is a bit of a shame. Scotsman John Adamson has also tried a few GPs this season, and that's always a good thing for a rider whose career has still not yet peaked and who is keen to learn from better riders. Now, Adamson is one of the best riders to watch. He's so damn fast and he never gives up. But sometimes perhaps trying too hard can be his downfall, but he certainly has incredible speed. Other riders to look out for at Lyng include the veteran Martin Barr, whose results at the opening Revo round weren't very good because he had a bike issue. Also struggling with a bike issue was Stuart Edmonds, another rider who makes a trip over from Ireland for the races. But both of them have got lots of experience and know how to go around Lyng pretty quick. But also you've got to watch out for Ashton Dickinson, who definitely knows how to twist that throttle hard. Brad Todd, who had a podium at the MX Nationals at Lyng last year. Plus there's Liam Knight, Tristan Purdon, the South African import, former World Junior champ Stephen Clark, Dan Thornhill, Louis Kessel, that's not Lewis as I incorrectly said last time, the list goes on. There's lots of great riders, and once Jay Haig gets his confidence back, he'll be up to speed too. Now he's on the 450 Kawasaki. It's going to be a good one for sure. Now in MX2, the opening round was all about a last minute surprise as Isaac Gifting turned up and won both races. Now the deal was done a few days before the race, so he rode a stock red Austrian 250F, I wonder what that could be, with a second-hand exhaust and ignition on it that he tested literally the day before. Now he showed true class as he won the first moto relatively easy by taking the lead towards the end of the moto. Then in race 2, he reeled in hole shot man Bobby Bruce, who actually had a huge lead. Now with more time on the bike and time to get it set up just how he likes it, chances are he'll be even quicker. At the opener, Gifting beat Jorgen Matthias Talviku over the line in the first race, but the Estonian crashed early on in race 2 and despite being battered still came through to 8th. He didn't look well after the race in the pits though. Now fully fit, he should provide competition for Gifting at Lyng. And we also hear there's a chance another GP rider will be there in the lineup. That's American Jack Chambers, who recently replaced Mikkel Harrop in the Dixon Kawasaki team. He's done just 2 GPs, he needs more bike time on the KX250 and he needs more outdoor race time on European tracks. Remember earlier this year all he's been doing is US Supercross. He's based in the UK, so it makes sense to have a run out at Lyng against some fast opposition. And we hear it's likely he'll race at Lyng. Of course, sadly the class will still be without former British champion Dylan Walsh, who had a bike-related no score at the opening round as he did at the Hawkstone International. Now he was going great in the USA in Supercross, but then crashed and broke his leg. Sad times. But the Revo Kawasaki team signed up Mel Pocock to replace him. Good times. Now Mel's a former European champ, great rider and a popular figure in the paddock. However, he did get a bit banged up at the Huck Cup and isn't on the provisional Lyng entry list. So perhaps it'll be at the next round where we see him back on the start on the Revo Kawasaki. But can Bobby Bruce continue his run at the front end this time? But managed to stay there until the end of the race? Let's hope he can, as he's growing in speed and maturity all the time. but don't write off ex-GP rider Taylor Hamill, now on the Gabriel 250 KTM managed by Sean Simpson. Or Jake Millward, who's back on MX2 class on the 2-stroke 250. And Elliot Banks-Brown, a double British MX2 champ, now back on the 250F for the SC Husky team. And watch out for Carlton Husband, who's always spectacular. There's a fast improving Alfie Jones, and Charlie Heyman was totally dominant in the youth ranks. But he has had a tough start in the 2023 season, now he's moved up to MX2. His time will come, as proven when he set the fastest MX2 qualifying time at the Oakhanger MX National. Now, there's also the added excitement at Lyng of a vets race for over 35-year-olds that will see ex-British champion Carl Nunn out of retirement, facing John Barfoot on his Evo Spec 2-stroke Honda CR250. And Lee Tolan, the boss of the Asa Gas team, is also having a go, and he says he's going to give it 100%. So get yourself there, see it all live on Sunday, or you can watch it on the live stream, and of course in MotoHead, in the magazine app, on our website, on YouTube, and in our social media channels.